Good evening, everyone. Captain Eddie here, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Emme Lentino, whom you'll meet in just a moment. Tonight, we have a really special treat for you. Tonight, we are joined by true country music royalty, a young lady who has touched millions around the world with her music, a true artist who has, by the way, been voted by Time Magazine as one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world, and we completely concur. An artist that crossed genre lines early to have her music not just in the #1 spot on the country charts, but #2 on the Billboard Top 100 pop charts as well. She has her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. How cool is that? She has won more awards than we have time to mention, including the Academy of Country Music, American Music Awards, Country Music Awards, and even a Grammy. An artist that, while recognized around the world, has never forgotten her roots back in Butcher Holler, Kentucky. She has had 20, count them, 20 #1 hits and 6 albums certified gold. And she has the privilege, and it's an honor, it's a privilege, but she worked for it. The very first female country artist to have an album go platinum. How cool is that? We are so incredibly honored to welcome none other than Crystal Gayle to Hearts of Nashville. Let's join that interview already in progress. Welcome, everyone, and especially our special guest, Crystal Gayle, coming to us from Nashville, Tennessee on Music Row. And of course, I'm joined here by our co-host, Emme Lentino. We are so honored to have you. Welcome, Crystal.
Well, thank you for having me. This is great. I'm honored.
Now,
well, the honor is really all ours. I have to say, Eddie and I and our entire staff at Heart of Indie Radio and all the listeners, everyone is just fanning out here. So we're going to take a moment and compose ourselves.
Well, thank you.
Exactly. Our whole team is like, can I be on for just a second, just a few seconds? maybe next time. Oh my goodness. So a little bit about your background. So you were born Brenda.
I was born Brenda Gayle Webb in Paintsville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was the only one born in a hospital, so otherwise it would have been Butcher Holler, Kentucky. But
and I just mentioned that in the intro.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, being the last out of 8, my mother, she thought she was going to have problems, I guess. And she did. No.
Now, not to make a pun out of it, but Paintsville, Kentucky, can you kind of paint a picture for us what growing up like that was like for our listeners? I know what it was like because I grew up that way. But yeah, what was that like as a child growing up in that family in Paintsville, Kentucky? Well, at least for the first 4 years, right?
First 4 years in Paintsville, Kentucky. I have some memories of being there and being with my mom, and then of course with pictures it brings it closer. But we moved in because the mines were closing. But it was a simple life. My mother, she had the garden, and it was just people help each other there. It was just a neat way to live. But of course, when we moved to Wabash, Indiana, and that was when I was 4, but Mom moved before and found work, and she sent for us all. But Wabash is a great place.
It's still kind of home, isn't it?
It's definitely my home. That's where I grew up. That's where I went to school. All my friends from school were there. And of course, my husband had transferred into Wabash High School last year. So, and then, it was fate.
I want to talk a little bit about family real quick. And I know Emmy's got something coming up there too, but you have an older sister, Loretta Lynn, who's also in the music business. In fact, you have quite a musical heritage. Something that I heard, I want to ask you if this is true. Did your mother actually say you could sing before you could walk?
My mother did say I could sing before I could walk.
That's priceless.
Well, my mother was singing around the house, and I chimed right in. But music in Kentucky, everybody would gather on the front porch with their guitars and just sing and have a good time. And when we moved to Indiana, what was on the front porch went into the living room, and we still had a good time.
Yep. Same thing in Tennessee. can you tell us a little bit about your family ties in the music industry without getting too much into it, because this is about you, but I just want people to understand you are connected quite a bit to the industry.
Well, I'm very, very lucky and very honored to be the sister of Loretta Lynn. And she is an icon. What can I say? My sister, she got my foot into the door, and she gave me a lot of advice. She said, quit singing my songs. She said, we have one Loretta Lynn, we don't need another. So
Yeah.
she knew what it was going to be like to be in the business. And she wanted me to have my own identity. And she said, you go MOR, middle of the road, something I wouldn't be doing. And she was right. I do not think I would have had the success that I had if I did not go in a different direction.
Do you feel like the industry and listeners as well would have spent too much time trying to compare the two of you had you been trying to sing her country songs?
Definitely the comparison would have been there, because when I look back to some just demos that I did as a young girl, it's like, is that Loretta? It's me. So I was trying to, be my sister as well. And I love my sister. I loved her singing, and we love singing together. When Loretta and Peggy, my sister Peggy Sue, she sings also, and she's actually traveled with me on the road for quite a few years. But we get together and we have that family blend, and it's great.
Yeah. Now you also have a distant cousin in the industry, right? Patty Loveless.
Patty Loveless, yes.
Love her to death.
In Kentucky, so much entertainers has come out of those hills.
Yep.
And I'm sure we're all related. So
we were making a joke about that the other day, so we won't talk about that here. But yeah, Tennessee too. There's an imaginary state line there between Kentucky and Tennessee. But yeah, so I got another question about actually your early years. You were talking about graduating high school, and I know Emmy's got a question she wants to ask you, but I wanted to ask you this. So right out of high school, you signed with Decca Records, which was Loretta's label at the time, right?
Decca Records, yes. That was a great label.
And then shortly after, you shifted gears and signed with United Artists and kind of took a whole different direction. Could you talk a little bit about that, why you made that change?
Well, Decca Records, definitely where I said my sister got my foot into the door.
Right.
She got my first recording contract with Owen Bradley. I got to go and work with one of the greats. I mean, he was wonderful in the studio.
Yeah.
And then, they changed the name to MCA before I left. But, my contract was, Mooney, Loretta's husband, was my manager at that time. And he had a contract with Decca that was only about 2-3 years. So it wasn't a long drawn out contract, which was great. So when it was coming to an end, and he wanted me to do some things that I didn't really want to do, and this and that. And so I said, I'm just going to go back to Indiana. I was married at that time, and I thought, I'm just going to be a housewife. But I had a television special too, or not special. It was the Country Carnival and the Jim Ed Brown Country Place.
Yeah.
The Country Carnival was Del Reeves, but I had to finish some TV. So I was in the studio doing my spots, and Lynn Schultz from United Artists was just talking to me, and he said, what label are you with? And I said, I'm not with any label right now. And he said, will you come see me Monday? So that was history. And then they put me with Alan Reynolds. And, definitely that was the
rest is history, right?
The rest is history.
Yes.
I love, Crystal, how your career it's amazing, because you have continued to be who you are without any apology. You stick to your guns, so to speak, and you are very, very driven to maintain your integrity, and that connection that you have with your listeners is absolutely amazing. And I really believe it's because you haven't sacrificed your own your own self-worth or anything that typically we see a lot of people in the industry do because of pressures. And I love that about you. But I'd like you to kind of speak to perhaps some artists out there that are aspiring, and they see you and they go, wow, I just love how she's always been so authentic. How would you describe the difficulties in staying true to yourself despite the pressures for these up and coming artists?
There's a lot of things going on in the music industry, from the record company to, there's so many things that is going to approach you when you're starting out, and you have to be true to yourself. A lot of people want to change you. They want to make you record things you do not want to do. And I've seen it happen, and I've seen where artists were more happy with the songs that they were picking, but then when the label got involved, they gave them the songs. You have to love the song that you're going to be singing when you're out there touring. And that was what my producer, Alan Reynolds, told me. He said, you better like this song because you're going to be the one that's singing it. So, but we would go in, we'd look for great songs, but you have to, your self-worth. I always said I turned down a lot of money because I wouldn't do commercials, that I did not believe in the product. And maybe I should have. I'd had more to pay. No, I knew that a lot of kids, a lot of children were looking up to me, and they were listening to what I had to say. So I wanted to be the best example that I could be.
I love that.
That triggers a memory for me when you're talking about really making sure that you love the songs. And here's what I thought of as soon as you said that. George Morgan told his daughter, Lori Morgan, you better love your biggest hit because you're going to be singing it the rest of your life.
It's true. Definitely true.
Do you remember where you were the first time you heard yourself on the radio? And, how did that feel? Was that like a flood of emotions? Did it take a while to set in? Do you remember where you were?
When I was driving to Nashville and going around Louisville, Kentucky, and my song came on, and it was just incredible. I'm hearing my song. I'm hearing my voice on radio. It was really special.
Which song was that?
That was I Cried the Blue Right Out of My Eyes.
Ah, yes, absolutely. One of the questions that we get from time to time from especially new artists is this question regarding recording separately, remotely, or recording live, recording in the studio. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you for them is, do you have a personal preference where you like to record?
If I'm recording music, it's definitely, I like to be in the studio with the musicians.
That chemistry, right?
The chemistry, you're right there with them. And of course, I have had tracks that's already been put down. And actually, if we go back to my very first recording with Owen Bradley, I was sick, so I had to, he put down the tracks and I came in and sang over that. But you learn to adapt to all of it. But being in the studio with those musicians is incredible. And like being, we can be in the same studio live together as us all together talking would be great too. I love that.
Yeah. And I find that too, if you're actually in the studio with the musicians in real time, if there's a problem, you can fix it now, as opposed to email them and tell them to change this up. Well, it kind of sucks the life out of it for me. I kind of want to be there with the musicians. So yeah. Emme?
Yeah, I had actually a question about, not so much about the recording aspect, but when you're doing all of these tours, because you have been touring for a period of time that most artists would just dream of. When you're on stage and you hear other people singing your songs and they're looking at you like I am, like, how does that feel inside your heart? Do you have a reaction right away, or is it kind of like post show where you kind of reflect and go, wow, this is my career. This is what I get to do.
Well, I love people singing my songs, and singing along with me when I'm on stage is just incredible. I mean, they know the songs better than I do. And, so if I mess the word up,
who hasn't done that, right?
Actually, one of the places that when I first experienced the singing alone with me was in Ireland. and they're pretty loud over there.
Oh, wow.
It was great.
An Irish brogue singing your songs. I
Yeah,
love
right.
that.
You know, Crystal, you have a string of awards, you know, ACM, AMA, CMA. We could do an entire show just talking about your achievements and all your accolades over the years, but can you share with us how you felt at such a young age to suddenly walk away with a Grammy for Brown Eyes Blue?
It was incredible. It was something that, I can still see myself on stage going out there, but I was so nervous
I
too,
bet.
because there were so many artists that I'm like, wow, I'm here with them. And, I met Linda Ronstadt, Steve Martin, all these people that that were there. And of course I was one that didn't have a lot to say. I'd always say thank you and head for the door. We could make a whole tape of my thank you off. Where some people can go out there and talk a mile a minute, that was not me.
So you were being asked to suddenly go out and talk in front of millions of people when really what you wanted to do was fangirl with all these other mainstream artists, right?
Yeah, really. I wanted to go look and say hi. And I would have if they'd let me. So
Yeah, it's interesting how structured those situations are. Emmy, you have a follow-up to that?
I do actually. It has nothing to do with the award shows, but I have a question, and this is actually from my dad, who is probably one of your biggest fans of all time. And he wants to know how it felt the first time people made a big deal about your hair. And was that something that, was it? And honestly, it's not just his question. I'm sure so many people are like, can you ask about the hair, please?
I know, floor-length hair.
So how did it feel at that time to do something? I realized that your mom wanted you to have short hair and then you grew it out. I believe that's how it was. But how did that go from just growing your hair out and the attention that it received? How did that feel? And did it ever get a little bit annoying to kind of have people peg you with the hair? Just curious.
Well, with me, with growing up and wanting long hair, my mother kept it short because she worked nights a lot, so she wasn't not there in the morning. So I'd be going to school she'd meet me, she'd walk to work, and I'd meet her walking home, and she'd be cleaning my face. Trying to
Crap on the go.
I can do that right now. And so she kept it short, so it would look halfway decent. But I always wanted hair long enough to put in a ponytail. And, of course, I'm not a really good hairdresser. So to wash it, let it dry, I could go on stage, it was ready. That was perfect. But I saw someone with hair to their knees. I was in I think it was a service merchandise store, and she was checking me out. And I thought, wow, I'm going to see if I can get my hair, because my hair was to my waist, and it didn't take long, and I didn't stop it at the knees. I let it grow, and the longest it's been has been about 4 inches on the ground. And I had to cut it back because I was stepping on it and it was hurting. So,
Gravity.
But I really didn't. Having long hair, yes, it was like, oh, you have long hair. My sister always wanted me, Loretta, to cut it and do all certain things with it, but I couldn't afford a hairdresser to go on the road with me. So I said, I like just washing it and letting it dry. But it just really happened. It wasn't that I meant for it to be a part of something that was Crystal Gayle, long hair.
Can I ask a question? I hope this is not too personal. How long does it take to wash that much hair? This is just a guy thing now. I'm just imagining that hair that it's almost to the floor. And do you do it all yourself?
Well, to do the hair tip, with long hair, you don't have to wash the whole thing with the shampoo, just the top of the hair. And then if you really want to keep your hair long, you don't really use the dryer, but I'm usually in a hurry lately, so I use the dryer on the top part anyway. But that's the hardest part, is waiting for it to dry,
How long does
and
that
then you
take?
can come out. It just depends. Here in Nashville, it's so humid. In the summertime, it takes
Oh,
a lot
yes.
longer than I would like.
Yes, absolutely.
In a dry area, it's really fast. I go
Yeah.
outside, the wind, and it's dry.
The wind, this beautiful. Oh, I
Okay.
love that.
Okay, so I have a fun question for you. There are so many really iconic, cool images out there of you when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. And I'm sure you're familiar with
Those
all.
were the days, my friend. No,
We got a whole new song coming now, right? By Crystal Gayle. Her cover of that would be kind of cool. So get one of those images in your mind for just a second. And if you could reach back and talk to that girl, that young lady at 18 or 19 or 20 years old, that superstar to be, what would you tell her, knowing what you know now?
Oh my, I enjoy it more. I think I was so nervous and frantic. I mean, I went everywhere. We were busy so much. And of course, you get the stage, the frights and all this and that. And really just to slow down and enjoy it a little bit more, even though I did enjoy it, but we
Yep.
were really running. And I did more television. I was offered more than I could do. I wish I could have done everything that was offered. I got to do Bob Hope specials, Dean Martin. I mean, all these wonderful specials on TV. It was a different time for television. Now we have everything in the world, and I'm what you call a channel flipper. I mean, I can't stay on something for more than 5 minutes. I move on because there's so much out there.
You're one of the challenges to keep people from clicking. Yes, to click on.
I'm a challenge.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question to that. What would you tell young aspiring artists today, those who are either brand new in the industry or thinking about getting into music? What advice would you give perhaps regarding music industry, and equally important, on a personal level?
You have to really love the business, because it is not easy, the traveling, everything involved with it. But if you love it, then it all comes together. So you have to, that's really the first thing. And you're going to be told one thing and it's never going to happen. Those happen all the time. Just have to, as I've said before, be true to yourself and try to write songs if you can, and that helps you get into the business. But it definitely is a totally different atmosphere out there than when I first started. So it's a little bit different. Now, you can do YouTube, you can do all the socials, and maybe be a big star the next day.
Yeah, it could happen. So I guess look in the mirror and ask yourself, who are you really? Figure out
Really, you got to know where you want to go. You've got to know,
Yeah.
this is the life you want, because it definitely is. It takes time. It really is not. I think people see the person on stage and they, oh wow, this is neat, this is fun, but a lot goes into getting there.
Yep. With all the success that you've had, and again, we could do an entire show just covering your accomplishments and all your accolades, all the things that you've done over the years. Is there anything that you still wish you had done or still want to do?
I love to record. I love doing television. I love it all. And I never really put the goals on me that some people do. I've had, at least 20 number ones or more, and a lot of top 10s. And, I could ask for more, but, I've had a great career. I've had so many wonderful people behind me that, I can't really say that, maybe I'll write a book, maybe do some things like
really?
that I
What would
really
the book,
been putting off.
what would that book be about?
Oh, well, there's several different things I could do. So,
Okay.
and I've started a few of them. So, I could do the hair book. I could do from having the short hair to the long hair with the tips, but just, a little bit about my life and a family life.
Mm,
That would be kind of cool.
that would be amazing. We would buy the first 2 copies.
Right.
Eddie and myself. Um, Crystal, I love that you have this true inner peace that comes when you speak, especially when Eddie was talking, is there anything that you wish you had done or that you'd like to do in the future? And I think something that I feel that all of our listeners can take away from tonight's interview is that you truly are at peace with who you are and that you're happy within yourself. You love your family. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people perhaps miss when they're chasing certain things. They don't actually have a peace or a happiness within their spirit. And that is so important. How is it that you feel, or how was it that you were able to maintain that in your life, that important staying balanced and true to yourself and that peace that you so clearly have?
Well, I really am a good actress, I definitely have had my days where, that I'm so, what am I doing? But, I had great parents, that had great morals. I mean, my mother was wonderful. I think when that's in your background, you have something to build on. And, I think I used to think everybody had that type of parents. And then later I realized they didn't. But, that's really where I put my building blocks of my life. I have a good family. I've got a great husband and great children. So, you have to have that inner peace. And definitely, we can all have that moment of, okay, I'm feeling down today. But then you think, what you have, maybe someone else doesn't have, or just in your health. And that really lifts me up.
A thankful
Absolutely.
heart goes a long way. I love that.
Yes, it does.
So your most recent album, can you talk just a little bit about that?
The album's called You Don't Know Me, and it's filled with country classics that I grew up singing. It has the song Ribbon of Darkness, which was a Marty Robbins song.
Mhm.
And when I started recording, or when I started out recording on my own and traveling the road, I got to open for Marty.
How
And
cool is that?
it was just incredible. And Jack Green I opened for. I mean, I look back, Farron Young, all these icons of mine.
I know, a bygone era, right? And it's kind of sad that
Yes.
we've lost so much of that. But
Yes,
yeah,
we have it.
I looked at that album and I thought, oh my gosh, she has come full circle back to her country roots now with this.
Well,
you had,
this was I loved those songs, and they were
yeah,
songs that I would sing at the top of my lung, in the backyard, or but it was songs that I wanted my son to hear what I grew up listening to. I mean, he loves country, he loves it all. He does. He actually co-produced the album, and he mixed it, engineered it, and I mean, we had a great time in the studio, and I'm glad he got to work with me on that project.
Oh, that must have been incredibly special for him to work with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't argue much, But as I always say, mothers knows best,
Yes, yes.
that's the
true.
rule. That's the rule.
This is what I tell my little girls as well. Mommy knows best.
Trust me. And when that doesn't work, mommy knows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Give it.
Well, Crystal, how can folks find you online? You'd like to plug your web address and maybe how they can find you on social media and that sort of thing?
Well, I have crystalgayle.com, and then I'm on Facebook, which is Crystal Gayle, but I guess it has the blue check mark there. And I'm on Instagram, and I'm trying to think, it's called The Crystal Gayle. I have been trying to get verified on Instagram. They won't do it. I figure, I'm at this age and they don't believe it's me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm trying to get verified. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we hadn't figured out their algorithm either. So,
but we just get out there, and people can find us on that crystalgayle.com. Definitely has the tours and everything with it.
Yeah. On behalf of myself and Emme Lentino and our entire team at Hands of Grace, Ray of Light, and Heart of Indie Radio, we want to thank you for taking this time to join us here and share your story and inspire so many other artists around the world. This is broadcast in 9 countries, so a lot of people will see this. And I've got an obligation. Our camera guy, Don, kind of poked in a minute ago and said, please tell her hi for me. So our camera guy, Don, said to tell Crystal that he loves your music and he grew up on it. He just loves you to death. So he just wanted to say that.
Don hi for me.
I will.
Love you, Don.
You've made Don's year.
I know. He's going to be like, I want to copy that now. Crystal Gayle said she loves me.
But thank you so much for chatting with us. It really does feel like we're in this, virtual living room together hanging out. And I know our listeners will have really loved hearing from music royalty. You are country music royalty, and you have a beautiful heart and you're so talented. So thank you so much for graciously accepting chatting with us. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Our best to your family too.
Means a lot to me. Means a lot to me that you wanted me on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you stay safe. God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Crystal. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
You too. Love y'all.
Love ya. Mwah.
Hey everyone, it's Emme, and you've just been listening to an exclusive interview with Crystal Gayle, someone that has truly touched millions and millions of lives with her gorgeous music. Country royalty, icon, and at the end of the day, with all of those awards and such an amazing career, she remains this gorgeous human that just connects. And you could see that tonight. You could feel that. And that's really special. So thank you, Crystal, for your time. From everyone here on the team at Heart of Indie Radio, we are so proud of you. Listeners, continue being on this journey with us. It's lots of fun, isn't it? Talk to you soon, and have a beautiful evening, and continue supporting Crystal Gayle in her journey in music. Go out to her tours, follow her on social media, and you could always DM us or leave us a little message as well. Let us know how special tonight was for you. From my heart to yours, have a great evening right here on the Hearts of Nashville show.